All right, parents, welcome to our second video in our parent educational series. This video will be talking about how the students schedule the week in their day and what we've discovered through that process.
Okay, so let's talk about how we set the schedule every week and then also how we set the schedule every day. We have a kind of a rotation throughout the week where we set the schedule from Monday to Thursday. Our Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays look fairly similar to each other, and then Wednesdays, we've been consistent that those are our off-campus days. So we kind of have a natural rhythm to the day that Paul and I have helped just by checking on kids when they start to get restless and when the volume level begins to change. So we have a pretty good flow to our day that just matches our kids and the group that we have this year. So we have a circle time every morning, and that gives us a time to come together as a community. We start that at 9 o'clock as faithfully as we can. And kids circle up together and we'll go over a couple of daily slides. Sometime we do this day in history and have conversations about that. Typically we go over a riddle because the kids are super into that this year. And then we start to talk about our schedule for the day, what offerings we have on the table, and what things they might be intending to do. So then every one of them set their own schedule for the day independently, and then Paul and I will check in with our group of 9 to make sure that we know what they're up to and if they need any support or extra supplies or something else from outside of their realm of control. Having kids set their own schedule every day and set goals for themselves and come in with what they're intending to accomplish in a day is such a great time for us to just naturally slip in some executive function practice. And we don't need to explicitly teach executive functioning. We just allow them opportunities to practice it on their own, and they set the expectations for their day and they know what kind of time management they need to practice throughout the day. It's really just a beautiful process. So our mornings we jump into a focus time, and that really has become a beautiful time. Parts of the building are shut off from us to have, and then those open up at a later time. Helps us to stay in some focused areas, and also has been really great to help kids stay intentional, and we've started to see the focus develop deeper and for extended periods of time. Trips and field trips pop up during the week. Kids are involved in voting or proposing those options. There's times where we jump in the bus and hit the park in the afternoon pretty consistently. And then Wednesdays is that day, I'm sure that you guys all know by now from hearing stories from your kids. That's an ebb and flow kind of a thing. We've got a couple of standby favorites. And then as we move into this colder part of the year, we've started to do some more indoor things when we can and get outside as much as we can when the weather is good enough for us to do so. At the end of our day, we come back, we usually have a reflection time, a journaling time. There might be a prompt, but then there's also always the option of just a free write. And we've had kids writing poems at this time of the day, coming up with funny songs, serious songs during that part of the day. And also just a time to think about what we're thankful for, some different things that have happened during the day, challenges we may be facing, successes we may be experiencing, and all of that gets just kind of tucked into that time of writing and reflecting. We transition into a time of doing jobs. There is a job board in our space, and every week on Mondays, kiddos will take their stick that has their name on it. They'll read over what jobs are available, and then they'll make a selection for the week. And then that is constantly changing, and they can switch jobs the next week if they want to, but that becomes their task for the week. And that's just part of us being responsible community members, part of us just taking care of the space and then taking care of each other in that process as well. Then we move into a closing circle. Sometimes that happens just with Paul and his 9 kids and me with my 9. And then we'll do something a little bit smaller and more intimate. And then sometimes we come together as a large group. We'll maybe go over awarenesses and see how we're doing with those. If kids think that we're making progress, if we're still struggling with some of them, other things that we need to be made aware of, reminders for things that next day. And then again, sometimes it's just a really nice time to come together to talk about something that we're thankful for in our space. There's other times where we talk about what other people are doing in the space that's benefiting us, or moments of kindness. Just take a time to reflect on those things as a larger group. And on Thursdays, we pretty consistently have a community member come in and lead us in a mindfulness activity, and that has become just a really beautiful time for us during the week. And that kind of rounds out our Thursday afternoon as a Wildflower Learning Community.
So one of the things we discovered going through these first couple months of the program with the kids scheduling themselves and having the day structured in a certain way was that self-directed time was way more valuable than we really anticipated. Through the research, we knew other schools that really valued self-directed time, but weren't sure, how much learning would be evident through that process. When we think about the 4 C's, critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication, they're happening at the highest level during that self-directed time because it's the most authentic time kids are having. Whenever you are in a situation where you're choosing the activity itself, that's full intrinsic motivation that's involved. There's no external carrots or sticks that is making somebody do that process. So the power of intrinsic motivation is that the learning is way stickier. We know through neuroplasticity that when somebody is completely voluntarily diving into something, those pathways are being ingrained much more fully than when you're coerced into something. And in fact, when you're coerced into something, those pathways quickly fade away. Some of the examples of the 4 C's being done at a high level, just a couple. There's a ton. They happen every day.
It's hard to find it
that we can choose from, but back during Halloween, the older kids, about a month out, maybe a little bit before, decided they wanted to plan a carnival for the younger kids. Kept it a secret. With no help from Ellen or myself, they organized, they met probably twice a week. Initially it was more frequent. There was kind of a dead period in the middle of those weeks, and then towards the end there was a real push to make this thing happen. Because Ellen and I were asking, is this something you're gonna postpone, cancel, what's gonna happen there? So the beauty of Ellen and I not leading this or not making it happen is that on their own, they organized a carnival for the younger kids with games, tickets that they had to figure out the value of, prizes that they had to go find at the dollar store, with help, resources from adults, and then managing the flow of the program. And the carnival lasted for 2 hours at least. And honestly, from my perspective, being involved with a lot of carnivals and those type of things through school, it was as well done as any teacher could have gotten the kids to do it. And they did it on their own. And so just the amount of true problem solving they had to go through, critical thinking, and just the empowerment of realizing, hey, we wanted to do something and we can achieve that. It was very, very valuable. There's proposals. When kids want to do something, they have to write a proposal for the WJC.
Whatever could
Submit that and then go and speak to that point. But also academic things are being integrated naturally. These are things that often we forget kids are going to be using just in their day-to-day lives, whether it be math or writing or reading. They're doing it all the time when they're interacting with each other. It looks different, but it is still really, really valuable. With some of the younger kids, actually based off of what they've practiced with writing, trying to make a sign themselves, going and grabbing a resource, a book that they know they've traced letters in, they've traced words in, bringing that back and using that to help them create a sign.
This is not the sound
is just a powerful example of learning writing, but also research skills, self-efficacy, and all those things. That's all through our self-directed, self-driven part of the day, and it's just we're seeing leaps and bounds. So underneath all of these skills that Ellen and I, in the program, the mission of the program, really sees value in is learning to be an independent person. We really believe in the saying that's on our website that our job is not to pave the path for the child, but to prepare the child for the path. A day-to-day experience of, I have meaning within this space, I can shape this space, translates into adulthood and is going to be better for community and society at large.